What is up, guys? It is AJ from MMA Experts, and this is the UFC Vegas 17 full card predictions. Main event, we got Stephen Thompson and Geoff Neal. It's going to be a crazy main event, but let's start with the first fight of the night. All the way down here, we have Rick Glenn and Carlton Munoz. If you've seen Rick Glenn, I mean, he fought a while ago. He's kind of been out of the game for a bit. We'll quickly pull up his record here, 21-6-1. He fought, that was now 2018. So, I mean, it's been a while, 2 years since we saw him. That was a loss against Kevin Aguilar. I was fairly impressed by him. I mean, he does have a win over Gavin Tucker, who's a pretty good prospect. Beat Miles Jury in 2018 by a split decision. Or rather, Dennis Bermudez lost to Miles Jury. But, I mean, the Bermudez fight's a kind of big win in 2018. Now, not so much. Lost to Aguilar, not the best look. His opponent, Carlton Munoz, 10-2 as a pro. He's a pretty good striker. You know, he's got good skills overall, but was really beat up against Matthew Selmesberger. Also does have a loss in PFL to Rick Story in 2018, that was. But he's coming back taking on Rick Glenn. This is not an easy fight, I feel, for either man. I think it's a competitive matchup here. Definitely the advantage, though, in my opinion, goes towards Rick Glenn. Now, he is going to be at a height advantage, but the reach is at a disadvantage. Rick Glenn's last fight, he was 148 pounds. Carlton Munoz last fight was at 170. Size advantage slightly favors Carlton Munoz, but I think that Rick Glenn has the tools to win. He's got a lot more experience against higher level fighters. So I am going to ride Rick Glenn to win this fight. I think it's a decision. I think it's competitive, but I do think he will beat Carlton Munoz here, and I do look forward to the fight. I do think it'll be pretty entertaining and pretty high-paced, high-action fight, because both these guys, they come to strike, they come to finish, and I do like their styles here. Now, betting odds for this matchup, I'll have to pull it up on another website because they are not being listed here on Tapology. So right now, the odds are sitting around Rick Glenn at a minus 325 favorite over Carlton Munoz at plus 265. I think it's dangerous for the odds makers to be putting Glenn at that much of a favorite, being out for 2 years, and especially coming off a loss too to Kevin Aguilar. But I guess they really see him matching up well against Carlton Munoz, which I also do see a fairly good matchup. But Rick Glenn has also fought as low as featherweight, so I do think it's going to be competitive, and Munoz could potentially surprise us here. Personally, wouldn't bet Rick Glenn. If you are going to bet, maybe I'd lean you towards Munoz, but me personally, not going to do so. Next fight of the night. Let's move it down here. We have Jimmy Flick and Cody Durden. Awesome grappling matchup here between these two flyweights. Lots of potential, I think, for both guys, but really in the favor of Jimmy Flick for me. His jiu-jitsu is fantastic. He's very good off his back. He's very good on top. Cody Durden, though, very dangerous wrestler. This guy's a champion wrestler, I believe state champion. Has good skills on the ground, decent on the feet as well. If you look at both their last bouts, I'll first pull up Cody Durden because he does have the UFC experience advantage. He fought against Chris Gutierrez, and he had a draw. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, not the best performance. It was a draw. He lost the second and third round after a dominant first round, but he still had a draw with a pretty good mixed martial artist in Chris Gutierrez, who I think had a lot of upside and potential going into that fight, and that was at 135. Now he comes down to flyweight to take on Jimmy Flick. Flick, 15-5 as a pro, so he does have 20 fights. He's got a fair amount of experience, and he's won all of his fights in 2020. So 3-0 in 2020, looks to become 4-0 in 2020 against Nate Smith. That was really impressive on the actual Contender Series. I mean, Nate Smith, durable guy, took everything that his opponent Jimmy Flick was throwing at him from the ground and was able to last until the third. But I don't think most fighters will be able to last that long. I think Cody Durden is going to get submitted here by Jimmy Flick. I think it's going to be around the second. I think it does last a bit, but the second round is where I see Jimmy Flick getting a submission here. But Cody Durden, I mean, I think he is game, and he could potentially be a tough fight. I'm not going to sleep on Cody Durden, but I do have Jimmy Flick winning. Now, as far as the betting odds, minus 150 in favor of Flick, Durden the plus 130 dog. I like Jimmy Flick the favorite here. He's a pretty solid pick, I would say. All right, let's get to the next fight of the night. Tefan Nchukwi takes on Jamie Pickett. Both guys with impressive knockouts on the Contender Series this past season. Height advantage, Jamie Pickett, he's 6'2", 80-inch reach. This guy is very long. Tafan Nuchuki, shorter guy, 6 feet tall, stocky. He's a 77-inch reach. I mean, definitely a pretty good reach for his height, being only 6 feet. But the advantage is still in favor of Jamie Pickett. I think from the outside, Pickett's dangerous. He'll be able to land strikes on Nuchuki. Nuchuki, more of a high guard style. I think he needs to close the distance and get inside. The one thing to take into consideration here, Jamie Pickett, yes, he's a tall guy, not naturally as thick as Tafan Nuchuki. Nuchuki's a true light heavyweight and has fought at heavyweight. Jamie Pickett, he fought at 185 in his last fight. So something to consider there. I personally believe that Nuchuki's power will be too much for Jamie Pickett. I think the technique that Jamie Pickett has is excellent. He's very good from the outside. Nuchuki will continue to close distance and will land the better strikes, and Nuchuki wins this fight. I have him winning it, knockout, round number 2. If you look at the last bouts, both men very impressive, but Nuchuki, man, he's patient. I mean, he can get hit, he can take a shot, and he'll eventually land a knockout strike. As far as betting odds for this fight, Nuchuki's a minus 300 favorite. Wow, I didn't even expect that. Jamie Pickett a plus 250. I think the odds are pretty widespread. I thought they'd be a bit closer. I like Nuchuki, but Jamie Pickett is a game fighter. He does have a wide array of skills, and he is fairly experienced. Has 4 losses, and Nuchuki only has 4 fights. So there's going to be an advantage in experience. Could potentially see Jamie Pickett pulling off the upset, but I think the power of Nuchuki is going to make the difference here, and that's why I have him winning this. But wouldn't run out and bet on Nuchuki, to be honest with you guys. He's too unproven of a prospect. The next fight of the night, Draco Rodriguez and Eamon Zahavi. I like this fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. If you saw Rodriguez, he looked good against Mana Martinez. That was on the Contender Series. Won that fight actually off his back with a triangle choke. And Mana Martinez, jiu-jitsu purple belt, very skilled martial artist. Draco Rodriguez, though, he's a strong kid. He's got good submission skills off his back. He's dangerous. He does have some power in his hands. Eamon Zahavi, older fighter here. He's got 9 years in age, but only one more fight than Draco Rodriguez. Granted, a UFC experience in favor of Zahavi. Will quickly pull up his record. If you look inside of the UFC, hasn't been great. 2 straight defeats. Took a layoff from 2017 and then came back to lose to Vince Morales. Ricardo Ramos, that was another man that defeated him. Hasn't won since 2017. Inactivity, I think potentially the goal was for it to be beneficial. I know Faraz Zahabi wanted him to take some time off, work on his skills, but he is 33 years old and he's fighting in the bantamweight division. I mean, he's definitely an older bantamweight and the time is now. So, I mean, if he's able to get a win, he'd really have to be more active. Can't be taking these long layoffs, but I don't think he beats Draco Rodriguez. Young Draco Rodriguez, I think, is going to go out there, put on a good performance, and I think he's going to win a hard-fought fight. I think decision victory in favor of Draco Rodriguez here. But Zahabi is a legit, he's legit. He's going to have a chance. I'm not going to say this is going to be very one-sided. I think they'll have competitive moments, but I just got to ride with the youth here. I think that Draco Rodriguez has too much of an upside, and I think he beats Zahavi. Betting odds for this fight here, if I can find them, plus 160 underdog is Zahavi. Draco Rodriguez, minus 185 favorite, riding with the favorite here. I think the youth is going to be the factor, and also activity. We haven't seen too much of Zahavi in the past couple years. He's very inactive. Next fight of the night, Duron winning Antonio Arroyo, 195-pound catchweight fight. I don't really know why this is a catchweight. Duron win, 5'6", 70-inch reach. Antonio Arroyo, 6'3", 73.5-inch reach. So not a significant reach for Arroyo. That's going to cause a difference, but I mean, it will cause slight difference, but not going to be a massive factor. 6'3" to 5'6" is a crazy height difference for 2 guys in the same weight class. I don't think we should be seeing Duron win at 185. I think the kid's got good skills, but he belongs at 170, potentially even 155 if he wants to take true advantage. I know he's, a prospect. He trains with Daniel Cormier, so maybe he has that Cormier mindset. He doesn't want to be cutting too much weight, but if you look, Cormier was successful at light heavyweight. I think Duron Win needs to get down. I know he's fought, I believe, even at 205, but I really think 170, he'll find a lot more success. He takes on Antonio Arroyo here. Arroyo coming off the loss to Muniz, Andre Muniz, that is. He's a very good grappler, controls well from the top, also very dangerous off his back. But Arroyo did have good moments in that fight. I was impressed by his kickboxing skills, or rather his karate-style striking skills. Very nice kicks. Duron Win, he throws, with a fair amount of power in his hands, decent boxing. The wrestling's his thing. But I don't think this is an easy fight. I mean, the height difference is going to be substantial here. I gotta ride with Antonio Arroyo to win this fight by a decision. I think Duron win may have a chance. He's very skilled. His wrestling is really good, but he needs to drop a weight class. He'll find so much more success going down to 170. I don't think he'll have a problem with the weight cut if he can lose the body fat. He's carrying too much fat on him. I think cut to 170. I think we have a guy that has a way, way higher ceiling. Way, way higher ceiling. I think at 185, he doesn't ever make the top 15. I don't really think it's possible for him at that height. But I think if you drop down to 170, hey, who knows where the potential is. But I do think he'll probably take his third straight loss here against Arroyo, which will be disappointing because I think the kid's got a lot of potential. Duron win, plus 130 underdog. Arroyo, minus 150 favorite. Maybe don't go out and bet on this one because I think Arroyo could potentially lose here to Duron win because Duron, he can wrestle really well. And I do think he has a lot of potential. He's 31 though, so he's really getting up there in age. I think now is the time to cut to 170. Win, lose, or draw, I think drop to 170 next fight. That's my opinion. The next fight of the night here, it is Carl Roberson and Dalcha Lungi Mabula. Crazy name. Dalcha, though, he's got really good judo. If you look at Dalcha, champion, we'll call him Dalcha champion here. He has really good judo. He was actually, I believe, a national champion in judo. The guy's good on the ground, has competed in some grappling competitions at the highest level. His opponent, Carl Roberson, glory kickboxing veteran, really good on the feet, knockout power. Coming off a loss to Marvin Vettori, not a bad loss at all. Vettori is now a top contender in the UFC's middleweight division. I think that Dalcha's just, if he came into the sport, a few years earlier, I think he could have made a difference. But the problem is, he's coming into the sport very late. He's 5'8" tall. I don't think he's at a good height to be at 185 pounds. Similar to Duron win, I think you would see more success for him at a lower weight class. Granted, he is a very thick guy, but if he could make 170, I think that'd be better for him. Carl Roberson, really good knockout power. Coming off a loss to Marvin Vettori, at this point, I wouldn't say that loss has really affected his stock at all. I think he's a fun guy to watch, and I think he wins here. I don't think it's an easy fight. I think Dalcha's going to be in it. He does throw with a lot of power, big overhand. Not the best striker we've ever seen, but does have a decent jab. Roberson, decision victory. If I'm Dalcha, I'm trying to get this fight to the mat. He needs to lock up and use that judo, but it's not going to be easy. Carl Roberson's got pretty good takedown defense and is pretty well versed on the ground. But I personally, riding Roberson, decision. As far as betting odds for this fight here, Roberson's a minus 260 favorite. Dalcha at a plus 220 underdog. Very low chance of an upset here. I think Roberson's a pretty lock pick unless he got caught with something crazy. Because Dalcha, he hits with power, but I don't know. I don't think he has what it takes to be Carl Roberson. All right, let's get to the next fight of the night. I believe this is going to be the featured prelim, if Tapology's order is correct. Pani Sajara Eubanks. I'm excited for this fight, honestly. I think it's a good one. If you've seen Sajara Eubanks, ignore the record. She's got good skills. She was on a 2-fight winning streak. Unfortunately, took a tough loss in her last bout. We'll quickly pull up her record. I mean, she's good. Very good on the ground. Improving with her boxing. Definitely has gotten better as far as striking goes. But on the ground is where she shines. Ketlin Vieira was able to beat her. Not a bad loss at all. Vieira's a pretty savage female. Julia Avila, that was a big win. I was very impressed by that win. She was an underdog, plus 230 there. And Avila, I mean, had some hype behind her. And we saw a dominant performance by Sajara Eubanks in that matchup. She now takes on Pani Kianzad. Pani coming off a win over Betch Kohea. That's going to be, that was an interesting fight. That was competitive, back and forth, definitely. She's on a 2-fight win streak, also beat Jessica Rose Clark. You see that loss there to Julia Avila, somebody that Sajara Eubanks beat. Not that MMA math works, but I do think in this case, we're going to see the result with Sajara Eubanks winning. I think she gets it done. I don't think it's an easy fight by any means. I think that it's going to be a challenge, but I do think that she wins here, and I think she does so probably looking at a unanimous decision in favor of Sajara Eubanks. Lots of grappling, and possibly a submission, but I think more likely we'll see a unanimous decision. And let me quickly actually grab the betting odds. Almost forgot on that one. Minus 155. Eubanks, Pani Kianzad, plus 135. I like the favorite. I think Eubanks gets it done definitely here. All right, we get to the main card. There's so many fights on this card. This is, I believe, 15 fights on this card. Actually, one got recently removed. So 14 fights on this card. That's crazy. This is a stacked card. I'm excited, though. There's some awesome fights now that we're getting to the main card. First one, Anthony Pettis, Alex Morono. Don't sleep on Alex Morono. I'm very impressed by his Muay Thai skills. He has that square Thai style stance, but he also has some really nice hands. He can throw shots from weird angles. Anthony Showtime Pettis, excellent kickboxer, flashy, does crazy things, good on the ground as well. Not super impressed with him lately. I mean, yes, he beat Wonder Boy, but that was kind of a fluky fight, I would say. And then you see him lose the next two. He comes back up to welterweight, fights Cowboy to iffy decision. It was pretty competitive, and Cowboy Cerrone has not looked great. Alex Morono, on the other hand, if you look at him, coming off a win in his last fight, quickly we'll pull up who that was against. It was against, Rise McKee, who fought Hamza Shimaev. Rise McKee, and he worked him. He dominated that fight, really busted him up. Did have a loss to Chaos Williams, but we've seen with Chaos Williams, he's one of the scariest fighters at 170 right now, especially an up-and-coming prospect outside the top 15. Win over Max Griffin, Zach Otto, Keenan Song. I mean, if you look, since 2018, he's been doing very good. Lost to Jordan Mean in 2018. But, I mean, what is he, 4 out of his last 5 are wins? And he's got some good dominant decisions in there. I like this kid. I think that Alex Morono is legit. I think the odds makers originally early in the week had him wider as far as betting odds go, but I think money has come down on Morono. Plus 190 is Morono. Pettis at a minus 230. I think Alex Morono's going to take him. I think he's going to win. I think he has more of a fire lit under him. Anthony Pettis sometimes, I don't know, he relies on his talent, but doesn't always show that championship heart. I think Alex Morono wins this fight by a decision. I'm riding Morono for the upset here over Anthony Pettis. I haven't been super impressed. That knockout of Wonder Boy, in my opinion, they run it back 9 more times. Probably we're going to see Wonder Boy win at least 8 of them. Personally, I think that we're going to see Alex Morono. He's going to beat Anthony Pettis here. I think that Pettis' best shot here is going to be something with the one punch, something crazy, or one kick. But I think realistically, Morono has the technical skills to win this fight. And I do think he's also a dog, too. I'm riding Alex Morono for the upset. I'm hype about that upset, honestly. I think it's going to happen, man. That's going to be a fight to watch, definitely. Jillian Robertson, versus Talia Santos. Talia Santos, decent on the feet. I mean, look at the record, 16-1, and that loss was kind of controversial. Takes on Jillian Robertson, 9-4. Personally, I'm leaning favorite towards Robertson. That's just simply because of the grappling. She's very good with her takedowns, very heavy pressure on top. Coming off a win over Poliana Botelho, also was able to get a win over Courtney Casey. That's pretty big in my opinion. The loss to Macy Barber, who's a fairly hot prospect, up until her tough loss to Roxanne. Maria Bueno Silva was able to beat her by armbar. Women's MMA, there happens to be armbars. It's just something that we see more often. I think we're going to see a good fight, but I think we're going to also see Talia Santos. I don't think Talia Santos wins this fight. I think we're going to see Jillian Robertson get the W over her. Santos is good. Haven't been like superbly impressed by her. Has that Thai style of stance. Sometimes does keep the chin up high. Very aggressive. But I think Jillian Robertson could get it done here and pull off with, I think we're looking at an upset. I mean, minus 115 favorite is Santos. Jillian Robertson, minus 105. It's very close. It's pick'em's odds, but I'm going to ride with Robertson here. I think she wins this fight. I do think she gets it done, and I think she's going to do so with her grappling. She's going to smother Talia Santos, and she's going to get the W. I'm riding her. She's fought the better girls. And Talia Santos, yes, good record on paper, but records really don't matter. It's about the skills when you get in there. And, I mean, granted, 9-4, but has fought better competition. The record's never going to be as pretty when you're fighting some of the top of the tops. You're eventually going to catch losses. So I'm riding Jillian Robertson. She gets it done. Unanimous decision. Next fight of the night, Marcin Tybura and Greg Hardy. I am really excited for this fight because Greg Hardy is really developing well. I've been impressed by him. I think he's improving a ton. He's gotten a lot better over these past couple years. I mean, if you look at his last fight, beat Maurice Green, who's a legit martial artist, was on The Ultimate Fighter. Marcin Tybura, 20-6 as a pro, lots of experience, very good on the ground and decent on the feet. As far as athleticism, Greg Hardy. As far as size, Greg Hardy. As far as knockout power, Greg Hardy. Now, the difference is, does Greg Hardy have the grappling defense? Because Marcin Tybura's got pretty good takedowns, and when he gets on top, he's heavy. And he also likes that clinch work style where he'll push you up against the cage, and he can hold you there, and he'll pin you against that cage. I like Greg Hardy to win. I'm going to ride Greg Hardy, but I don't think it's an easy fight, and I think there's a legitimate chance that Marcin Tybura wins. I think if this fight gets past if we get into the second round and it goes past the first 2.5 minutes, I think it starts to favor Marcin, because I could see a late finish for him, because Greg Hardy, I always notice he's tired after his fights, breathing heavy. Granted, never an easy fight in MMA, especially when he's getting the finish, but something to note, he may have a questionable gas tank. Now, as far as the betting odds, Greg Hardy is a -120 favorite to Marcin Tybura at a +100 underdog. I think the odds could sway. I think it could go towards Tybura, because I think skill set wise, Tybura has legit ability. I just feel like Greg Hardy has something about him that I think beats Marcin Tybura. I think the knockout power. I think he'll get the knockout. And the reason I also am really liking Greg Hardy, he's training under Rashad Evans now, no longer American Top Team. Rashad Evans is his coach. That's the guy. He's training him, he's mentoring him, and I believe we've seen an improvement in his skills because of that. Rashad Evans, legend of the game, was a world champion. Granted, the end of his career was rocky. He's got a lot of knowledge to pass down, and I think Greg Hardy gets the win. I think the trainer is going to definitely play a big factor here. Having a coach is very important, and I think that's why Greg Hardy is being, improving a lot and really is successful as of right now. I think he's really developing. I'm riding Greg Hardy. All right, the next fight of the night. Marlon Moraes versus Rob Font. Marlon Moraes, jacked as always, especially in that picture there. Rob Font, tough, gritty, a lanky guy, 5'8", 71.5-inch reach, so he is taller and longer than Marlon Moraes. Moraes, deadly with his left switch kick, moves well, controls range fairly well, decent power in his punches, but really shines with his kicks. His leg kicks, too, are very nasty. For Rob Font, really nice jab. He's got good boxing. He's good on the feet, good on the ground, good wrestling defense. But I don't think this is an easy matchup. I mean, Marlon Moraes was just recently the #1 contender, was just recently at the top of the division, and still is. Rob Font, 2-fight win streak, coming off the win over Ricky Simone. To me, Marlon Moraes should win here. If Marlon Moraes is not mentally stifled, or if he's not deteriorating because of these recent losses that he's taken, I personally believe we see a Marlon Moraes win. I don't think it's an easy fight, though. I think Rob Font is very game. Decision victory for Marlon Moraes in this matchup is what I'm predicting, but it's not an easy fight. Rob Font, he's going to be there. He's going to make it competitive, and I don't think we see a finish for Marlon Moraes here. Betting odds for this matchup, Marlon Moraes, -140 favorite. Rob Font, +120 dog. I like those odds. They're close enough because I think it is competitive. I don't think Rob Font is a guy to sleep on, but I do think Marlon Moraes wins this fight, and he will get inside the range of Rob Font. All right, let's get to the next fight of the night. Michel Pereira versus Chaos Williams. Arguably, this is going to be the fight of the night. I think we're going to see back and forth entertainment between these two. I think this fight is going to be fantastic, honestly. I think this is going to be a beautiful display of violence. Chaos Williams, deadly knockout power. I mean, ferocious wins. Alex Morono in 27 seconds. Abdul Razak Al Hassan in 30. And that knockout against Abdul Razak Al Hassan was intense. Michel Pereira winning fights, looks good doing so. We can quickly pull up his record and look at his last bout against Zalim Imadev. Won that fight. He had a disqualification against Diego Sanchez. Also does have a loss to Tristan Connolly there. But, I mean, he's looked pretty good in the UFC. Good debut against Danny Roberts. But Chaos Williams is looking like a different beast. Personally, I'm seeing high-level skills from Chaos Williams pushing towards top 15 level skill set, whereas I don't see that with Michel Pereira, Alex Morono, and Abdul Razak Al Hassan. For me, I think that we're going to see Chaos Williams with a first-round knockout. Michel Pereira does too much. He does too much flashy stuff. He gets himself out of position at times. Chaos Williams is not a guy you can do that to. He gets the knockout inside of the first round with his hands, most likely. And I think we have a kid to keep an eye on. Definitely. Chaos Williams, somebody that we should watch because I think he's a top guy. I think he's got tons of potential. And right now he's a +100 underdog, which I'm surprised about. Michel Pereira at a -120 favorite. I like the underdog, Chaos Williams, all day in this matchup. Knockout victory here. First round. Now we get to the co-main event. Jose Aldo and Marlon Chito Vera. This should be a fun fight. I'm excited to see Jose Aldo again at bantamweight. I wasn't super impressed. I mean, I guess he looked decent, right? But he's had a rocky go. He lost to Alexander Volkanovski, and then he drops split decision loss to Marlon, even though they say, Marlon lost it. The decision was given. to Marlon Moraes. Petr Yan then gets a stoppage victory of him. But I mean, he did look fairly good in moments of that fight. Marlon Vera, 18-6-1, come off to win over Sean O'Malley. Very controversial loss to Song Yadong. That's another one. That one probably should have went the other way, but they still gave it to him as a loss. That one, though, I think was worse than the Aldo one. Andre Ewell win. I mean, the guy's won a lot of fights, and now he's taking on Jose Aldo in the biggest test of his entire career. The advantage as far as height goes, slightly in favor of Marlon. As far as reach, slightly in favor of Marlon. So virtually identical. But we do have the youth advantage from Marlon Chito Vera. Jose Aldo, I mean, his Muay Thai is excellent. Beautiful leg kicks. Hasn't shown enough of that, I believe, at bantamweight, though. Good with his hands, too. And, you know, he really pushes a high pace on his opponents and puts pressure. Now, with Marlon Vera, he also likes to do that high-pace style, rips those nasty low kicks. The calf kicks are brutal. I think Marlon Chito Vera wins this fight. I'm going to be honest. I think we're going to see Vera pull off a victory over Jose Aldo. I think it's back and forth. It's competitive. I think it's really close, and I think we get a decision victory from Marlon Chito Vera. That's who I think wins this fight. Favorite right now is Jose Aldo at a -140. Marlon Chito Vera +120. I like the underdog Marlon Chito Vera. Biggest test of his life. I think he comes out with a win over Jose Aldo. I cannot wait to see it, honestly. This is probably the #1 fight I'm looking forward to besides the main event, because this is going to be a crazy, crazy fight. Main event of the evening. This is good. This is huge at 170 pounds. Geoff, Hands of Steel, Neal, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, 5'11" to 6 foot, the same reach. Beautiful leg kicks and range control and body kicks and head kicks and all kinds of kicks by Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Geoff Neal, very good striker, good boxing, very poised and precise with his strikes. I mean, also can really throw high kicks and times them really well. That win over Mike Perry was very impressive. It wasn't a fluke. I mean, it was a win that he set up that high kick, and it did a ton of damage. And also, both these are southpaws, both these two guys. So southpaw versus southpaw. Will that throw either one of them off? Potentially. Now, if you go back to the Vicente Luque, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight, I know that he's not a southpaw, but in the first round, there were some moments where he got Wonderboy against the fence, was able to land some clean shots, and those type of punches you don't take from Geoff Neal, because he packs a lot more power than Vicente Luque, in my opinion. I think we see Geoff Neal get the win here. I'm gonna go knockout. I think it's 3 rounds or less. I could see it in the first round. I'll be honest with you guys. I could see it in round 1, him coming out and just crushing Wonderboy with some big strikes when they're near the cage and he's cutting it off. I think he's going to land something big on Wonderboy. I could also see it, though, before 3 rounds. Definitely if it starts going late, I think that favors Wonderboy Thompson, who does have that championship experience. But I am riding Geoff Neal to get the win in this matchup. As far as betting odds, Neal is a -120 favorite. Thompson at a +100. It's a pick'ems fight. There's so many pick'ems fights on this card. This is honestly a fantastic card with a lot of even matchups. I am riding Geoff Neal. I think he wins by knockout here over Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and I think it's going to be a massive upset. Or rather, I guess not an upset, but massive as far as a win for Geoff Neal. I guess as far as the bookmakers go, it's not an upset, but as far as rankings go, and as far as high-level experience goes, it's going to be an upset in favor of Geoff Neal. He gets it done. He gets the win. I think this kid's a serious contender, especially with a win over Wonderboy Thompson, and I do think he does it. I think he's the second man to stop him. Overall, excellent card from top to bottom. Some young prospects, some old veterans, and a great mix of talent. I think we're going to have an awesome UFC Vegas 17 card. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Make sure you guys smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, guys, follow my social media, Instagram, Twitter, and if you're looking to play some bets, check out the MyBookie referral link in the description, and I'll see you all in the next video.